previous video we went over some editing options, and in this video we're kind of expanding on the editing a little bit, and we're going to focus on the transformation tools. So there's a number of different transformation tools that you can use inside of Lettering Master. You can see that I have a design up on the screen already, and I just want to go through some of those with you. So to get started, I'm going to select everything, and we've learned that we can come over here into the sequence view and click on all items. And the moment that you do that, it selects everything that's on your screen. So the first thing that I'm going to show you is the rotate options. So we have the ability to rotate left, and when you click on it, it'll rotate the design to the left, and you can keep clicking it and get it all the way back, or you can rotate to the right using this icon up here, the rotate right. Or if you would like to rotate by a specific percentage or an angle, you can click this icon right here, and then you can type in that angle that you want. Maybe it's 55, and hit OK, and it's going to rotate it according to that amount. So there's three different ways to rotate using the rotate icons up at the top of the screen. Next, we have the ability to flip vertically or horizontally. And what this does is, if I come up here, there's these two icons right here, flip horizontal and flip vertical. First, I'm going to choose to flip vertical. When I do that, it's just going to vertically, you can see that the icon kind of shows you what it's going to do. It's like this upside down triangle, and then it has this dotted line, and then the triangle going in the other direction. Showing it vertically, that's what it's going to do to this design. So when I click it, notice that the design just vertically flips. We also have the ability to horizontally flip it. So flip it to the left or flip it to the right, however you want to look at it. It might be a little bit harder to tell on this specific design, but do notice that up at the top here, this hits the line, this one does not. So if I click the flip horizontal, notice that it did flip it because now it's reversed like you're looking in a mirror. So I can click it back. I can flip it vertically. If I click the horizontal, it'll flip it horizontally. So those are two icons that you have the ability to flip or mirror image a design either left or right, up or down. Next, we're going to look at alignment tools. So I'm going to grab this design right here, and before I do, I'm going to select everything, and I'll just show you that flip horizontal because this one will be better to kind of show that off. So vertical, horizontal. So with this design, I'm going to show you a few features that we have in our alignment, and these are the alignment tools up here at the top. Notice that right now these are grayed out, and the reason they are is because I only have one kind of object or grouped object selected at a time. So I'm going to zoom out here, and I'm just going to copy and paste it and create another one. I'm going to kind of put it down here. I'm just zooming to fit by double clicking on this icon. So with this, I can select everything, and notice that now these icons show up. And the reason is like when I click this, it's all grouped together. So it's treating it as one selection. This one, same thing, it's treating it as one selection. So you have to have at least two items selected at a time, or two grouped items selected at a time. So what you have here is the ability to align everything to the left, to the right, to the top, to the bottom, center horizontally, center vertically, center the selected objects to each other, and center the selected objects. So with these selected, I'm going to click on first the left align. When I do that, it's going to move the other one exactly in line on the left hand side, so both of them are consistent to the left hand side. Undo, And now I'm going to, they're both still selected, I'm going to do it to the right. So you can see that it moved the other image all the way to the right so that they're lined up on the right hand side. Next we have the top. So if I click the top, it's going to line them up top here, which is really easy to use. Or let me go down here, undo it, and now I'm going to do bottom, and it's going to put it down to the bottom. Next we have the center, horizontally center, so it's going to move everything centered to each other horizontally. We undo it, and now let's do the center vertically. Now along this vertical line, they're both centered. So the next thing is you have the center. And what this does is this is actually centering it to the hoop, or not to the hoop, but to the center of the page. So it's taking everything that's selected and moving it to where the middle, which is this little X because I have everything selected, is at 0 vertically and 0 horizontally. You can see the 0 right here and 0 right here, so it just centered it to the page. Hit undo. Next you have the ability to center the selected objects, but before I do that, let me go ahead and select this one and flip it horizontally, and then I'll use my keyboard shortcut of Control A to select everything. And now let me click on that icon, and what it does is it puts everything, both designs, at the center point. So it moved them so that the center point is the same. So you can see if I click and drag it, one was right over the top of the other, but it centered them horizontally and vertically at the same time. That would be the same thing as basically doing this. So one icon in essence does centering it horizontally and centering it vertically. So that's what that icon does. It does both of those functions at the same time. So those are your different transformation tools. One last thing that I want to show is if I click and drag, let me select this one and zoom it to the selection here. The other thing that you can do is you can transform it by using the icons around the selected object. So if I want to stretch this out, I can click and drag and it will stretch the design up, or I can stretch it to the left, I could stretch it to the right, or I can make it smaller or larger by clicking on that control handle. And you also have a rotate option, rotate button up in the top right and a rotate button in the bottom left. You just click and drag and it will allow you to rotate the design into the desired location. So that is the other way you can kind of transform. And one last transform option that we have is when you have something selected, you can go to the transform tab in the properties box and you can adjust the width, the height. You can do it by a specific amount, like in this case it says millimeters, or you can do it by a percentage. And if you want to see this in inches, all you have to do is click this little button right here next to inches, and now it'll display it in inches. So the next thing you have is a maintain aspect ratio. And what this means is if I change this to 6, it's going to automatically adjust the height as well, keeping the design proportional. So it'll proportionally get larger or smaller, so it won't skew it. So let's change this to 6 and watch what happens to the 4. It went from 4 to 4.25. So if I adjust this one to say 5, notice what happens to the width. It changes to 7. So it keeps it proportionally, it proportionally resizes it. If I uncheck this box, now if I come in and change this to 8, notice the height is at 5, I hit 8, the height stays the same. So if I hit apply, it's going to actually stretch the design. So it's not keeping it proportional. So you have the ability to do that by maintaining that aspect ratio. The other thing that you can do inside this transform box is you can rotate it by a specific percentage. So I could do 44, hit apply, and it's going to rotate it according to that value. So one thing I didn't show is just how to use the percentages. So all you would do is you could click the arrows going up or down, or you could type in a value like 150, and now it's going to resize it, make it 150% of the size, or 150%, so 50% larger. So that is how you can adjust or transform things using Floriani Lettering Master.